Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. This is Heike and you're watching Stone Cold Coffee Crafts, and today I'm going to record the promised WIP Chat working on my Victoria's Moon kit, which you have seen in the unboxing on Monday, or I hope you have seen it. If everything goes according to plan, this will be uploaded on August the 7th, which is tomorrow. So I've been working on this kit now. Today is day 5. I've been working on it, and I have to say so far I actually enjoy working with this kit very much. The adhesive on this canvas reminds me of the adhesive I got from the Fuyun store. It's this very super sticky adhesive on which you can't slide your drills at all. So once they are down, they are down. You either have to leave them like they are, or you have to pick them off completely and put them down again. I like this adhesive. I did a Beauty and Beast painting from the Fuyun store. If you want to see that, you will have to check out my Instagram because that was before I did YouTube. But it turned out really, really great. And I enjoyed working with this type of adhesive very much. But I know that not everyone likes it, because if you have to adjust something, it's harder than on other stuff. I've seen all your comments on my unboxing video. I have replied to most of them, not all of them. I'm sorry I didn't reply to any which came in late last night or over the day today, because I'm starting to film this WIP Chat basically right after work. But I saw that a few of you worried about the black outline circles, and I did as well. And I think you can actually see here that a little bit of the circle shows up around the drills. So the drills actually fit pretty well over the circle, but you have to place them perfectly. So as you can see, I don't always manage myself. It's not so bad that they show up constantly and ruin the picture as a total, which is why I have not been that crazy to remove all the ones I've afterwards seen a little bit of the circle is peeking through and replacing them. But if this is a concern of yours, I guess as of right now, you might not like this. But I have talked with Alvina about this, and I've shown her canvases that were either printed without any outline circles, period, or with these, you know, like, for example, CES Deals uses this on their paintings, where they don't use an outline circle, but they print the background color and then either a lighter version of the color as the circle, or sometimes it's a completely different color as well. This is usually not as difficult to cover than these black outline circles. What I have to say though is that the print is extremely clear. Another thing that some of you have said, and I have to agree after working on this kit for a bit, is that the background should be printed in more vivid color. I think you can actually see that it doesn't actually show up a lot in these lighter colors, so you pretty much can't see that the color behind these drills is more or less white. It's a very, very, very faint pink. Everything behind these lighter colors is basically white. But where you can see that the color is a lot lighter is in these parts here, where the darker brownish tones come through, and as well as, I have to move my camera a little bit, in the blue parts. It doesn't jump you right in the face, but if you look at it, especially under artificial light, you will see that. It's not as bad in daylight, I have noticed when I took pictures earlier. And where it also shows through very clearly is the black, of course. So this is something I'm going to discuss with them as well, in case that they can't get their factory to change the way they print their canvases, period, as in moving away from these circles and doing just the background color or doing the different colored circles. They at least should try to adjust the background color to match the drills more closely. Because in the darker ones it really shows if you get close up to the painting, and under artificial light actually you can see it even if you are not so close up to the painting. But this is pretty much the only bone I have to pick with this kit so far. Just to show you, I've completed a third of this painting, so you might remember this is a 50 by 70, and I have completed a third of it by now. And this is all the trash I had. Or more clearly, it's all the trash and I think 3 stray drills. So pretty much everything that doesn't have anything questionable on it is a stray drill I didn't sort back into the proper container afterwards, and it's not actually trash. This is pretty amazing for a third of a 50 by 70 painting. It's usually more. So that impresses me a lot. The drills are very shiny, especially the black. I hope I can show you in the final review. The black is extremely sparkly. It's differently cut than the rest of the diamonds. I think all the other colors are the 26 facets, and the black is less. But it's not the same as the black in, for example, the special diamond kits or the crystalline kit I had from Rainy Day Diamonds. It has more than those and less than 26. And it's they are so clearly cut, and the resin is so shiny that they sparkle like mad. You can't actually see that they have less cuts than the rest of the drills. They actually sparkle more than the rest of the drills. Another thing you mentioned in your comments was that the colors look dull. I think that was my lighting in the last video, because my daylight lamp was actually acting up a lot and producing a lot of glare. So I hope you can see this is 550. In my opinion, it looks just like 550 is supposed to look, or 600. And I hope you can see that they are also pretty sparkly. A lot of these colors are very soft, so they are not exactly the most colorful out there. For example, we have our huge bag of 819, which is a super soft pink. But as far as I can tell, the colors look actually pretty good. They are close to what they are supposed to look like. I have quite a few of colors in here I have not worked with before, I'll be honest with you. But those of them I know look pretty good, so can't complain about that. All right, let's stop jabbering on and actually start working on this. So I picked a small section for this WIP Chat. I'm probably not going to complete the whole section. It usually, if I concentrate, takes me a little over an hour to do this. Mind you, I'm placing every single drill on its own instead of using a multiplacer, because I can't really readjust the drills after I place them, and multiplacers always place drills wonky. I have a problem with that, period, but especially if I know that things will show up I don't want to see in my finished painting. So let's see. These are a lot of the background colors, so it will look like this here. Pretty much all of these colors are in there. But I don't have that much of color change. Another thing, this kit is printed. I've had that before. You saw it with the cat with the peonies, and last year I did a couple of Christmas images that had this way of printing as well. The inside of the circles is for every single symbol white. So no matter what the actual color is or what the color looks like on the key, the symbol is printed black on white, which makes it a lot easier to read, but on the other hand also a lot easier to miss symbols. So you might see me getting back trying to fish single drills out of colors I have used before because I overlooked symbols. Which is, I guess, pretty normal if you are used to working with a colorful canvas. Also, I'm working sideways right now, so this will probably lead to me missing a lot more than I usually do. So let's start with some live updates, shall we? I think that's all the A's we have. Probably not, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Live updates. So what happened in the last week? Honestly, not a whole lot. I have been working, I have been crafting, I have been sleeping, and I have been avoiding housework. That's pretty much my standard week right now. I have started making some changes at work. I have, of course, not told the people I'm currently working with that I'm going to do that. I don't want to create tension. And I think the day they will learn about the fact that I'm not interested to extend the contract is soon enough. It's not exactly the people I work with I have a problem. They are nice enough, even though they have some kinds of attitudes I don't really understand, but that's just me. That happens if you are brought into a completely different company and they expect you to adjust to them, and you pretty much expect them to accept you like you are because that's how they bought you. That's what's happening with us right now. So they were not into IT. They had one branch that actually tried to get people with IT jobs into placement. You know, that's this temporary job thing where you can go to a company and say, I need someone for, I don't know, 6 months to do this job. And the company that bought us is actually one of these companies finding these people for other companies and put them there in temporary placement. For charge, of course, on top of their salary. And they had a branch that did that for IT jobs, but they actually wanted their own IT outsourcing company, which pretty much means we do stuff for companies that don't have their own IT department and handle what a classical IT department does. So we are not actually leased on a temporary basis. We are, I think you call it external specialist, external contractors, more or less. That's what they bought us for. And on the other hand, they don't take us seriously because we came in and suddenly started to talk IT. I think I mentioned that before. When I interviewed for the job, I asked the person interviewing me what their, and there's an A, I knew it, what their standards for IT were in the group. And I just got a very vacant look from him. Yeah, I probably should have heard the alarm bells going off in the back of my mind, to be honest. Because they think we are strange because we want to implement stuff like that, and we think they are completely crazy for not having it already. So yeah, completely different philosophies, and it keeps clashing. Last week we actually had our 3rd year anniversary being part of that group. Still feels like we are completely outside of everything going on in that group, to be honest. It's a bit like, it's a sad thing to say after all this time, but it's a bit like West and East Germany. It's still not fully integrated, just by the fact that we speak about West and East Germany, basically. We usually don't distinguish between North and South Germany. Well, if you leave out Bavaria, we extinguish very much between Germany and Bavaria. Sorry, all you guys from Bavaria. I know you are not all bad. It's just a few which are pretty strange. And you have to take the brunt for all of them. I am aware. I think most of the time it's actually more of a joke than anything else. And I have many friends from Bavaria, so I don't like them. I do like them. I just like to tease them. Pretty sure as soon as I put the bag away, I see another X. So, where was I with it? So it's pretty much like this. The philosophies still clash a lot. We are not integrated with each other at all. It's all finger pointing. And I have to be honest, I am pretty much fed up with it. Because while they fully accept me to their team and treat me like they treat all their other co-workers, I also get all the oh, you guys are all so strange talks every week, and it's really getting on my nerves because I don't want to be the, well, you are very strange yourself stuff. It's very childish, and I don't know why they don't believe that we are experts in what we do and they are experts in what they do, and they should just let us do. It's not like they did a good job so far. And speaking of a good job, this week, or last week more or less, I had a very interesting run-in with German Telekom. So I've told you before, I'm moving my own office where I myself work. The move is supposed to happen in October. I ordered a telecom circuit for this new office. They were all, yeah, we are happy to deliver that, and yada, yada, yada. And I ordered it beginning of May, and beginning of July, the telecom technician I did the site visit with, so he could see what was already there and what was needed, told me, you know, this part of the town was not wired by us, so all the network was done by a different company, which for the longest time wasn't a thing here. And recently cities and yeah, even smaller towns tend to give the contracts to either their own city-owned companies or other telecom providers instead of Deutsche Telekom. And this was the case there. And they told us, and you have now to get a separate contract with this company, so our circuit can be delivered from the central data center of this part of the city to your office location. All right, which is very strange. I told the telecom technician, you know, that's like me going to the butcher and telling him I need a Sunday roast. And he telling me, yeah, sure, I do that for you, but you have to find your own slaughterhouse to get the cow from. What? So that's the current situation with the Deutsche Telekom, and whenever you have a building that is not connected to their network, they like to be very unrelenting about it. So usually how it works, and you probably might know that because it's an international thing. You order a circuit by your preferred supplier. The preferred supplier takes the order, and if they can't deliver it end to end themselves, they look up which last mile provider they can use to get their circuit into the building. So in that case, the telecom needs to go to the company that has done this part of the town and has to basically order this last mile from them, which this company would be all too happy to provide because they do it for every single other provider in this damn country. But the telecom just doesn't want to do it. They want that the customer does that. I guess it's punishment for choosing an office building in a region of a town that is not handled by them. Yeah. You are right. Punish the customer for the fact that the town prefers to work with someone else. That's mature. And of course, companies are usually as flexible as brick walls when it comes to the question, can we just go to this provider directly and order our circuit directly from them? Yeah, so we can't. We have to go through the telecom. And now it's a huge discussion. Who has to order that? And where do we have to order that? And can't the telecom do it anyway? And can we somehow move them? And yeah. I hope that today I found someone who actually takes responsibility of ordering this last mile and get it on the way, because I need this stupid circuit. We are going to move in 2 months' time. Well, in 2 months by this day, we have moved. So we need this circuit. An IT company without a network circuit is not good. It's also very fascinating how unwilling some of these people in the company are to actually do something that goes a bit over what their job description actually says. It's really... And I keep hearing, yeah, it's your colleagues. Yeah, but it's people we took over from your company, so that mindset didn't come from us. Quite on the contrary, actually. But anyway, yeah, and stuff like that just shows me that I don't enjoy working in that environment. I mean, it's you will run into issues with everything you do when it comes to moving stuff, no matter if it's your own apartment or house or if it's an office building. Offices are just bigger usually, so the issues tend to be bigger. So it's not that I expected to go everything perfectly fine and smooth sailing and so on. I did indeed not. But this is stuff. Oh. Usually you don't let your suppliers treat you like you are the biggest idiot in town. And that's what the telecom is doing to us, and they do it constantly. And I don't understand how... I mean, this company isn't small. It's a pretty big company. I don't understand how they let that slip, but they do. And I'm not a salesperson, so everything I say is pretty much on deaf ears. So what do I know? But I can say that at least the construction work in the new office looks good. People keep complaining to me about the same things all the time, as if I was the one to make these decisions. How is it in your countries? If you work for a company, is it usually the case that the company, for example, provides parking spaces for you? Because in our current situation, it's actually the case. We have way more parking spaces in the garage than we need. But at the new location, we will have a lot less than we would actually need. And the company is saying that they are not responsible for providing a parking lot, basically, which is true. They are not. Laws and courts have decided that they are not responsible for stuff like that. It's understandable. They are saying, I am only hiring you to do a job. I'm not responsible for the way you get to this job. That's basically your own decision and your own problem. But you know, people are used to getting a parking spot, and now they are throwing a hissy fit because they won't get one. I mean, I can understand that. I have actually told management that it's pretty costly. If I go to the office by car every single working day of the month, I will need about 45 euros worth of fuel to go there. I am flexible when I arrive and when I leave, and I can actually also get stuff from point A to point B if I need to. Sometimes I have to go somewhere and need to take stuff with me because I'm doing office relocations. And if we are talking cities like Stuttgart without any parking spaces that are reserved for us, we're talking issue, big issue. And I told them, I can use the train. It's not a problem. Public transportation is a thing for me. It's only 3 stops actually from the town I live to the new office, and the station is right behind that office, so it's not an issue. But stupid, I cross what they call a zone here. So they basically have the whole part of the region they cover divided into zones, and as soon as you cross one of them, ticket prices increase. So even though I only need 3 stops from here to the office, I cross a zone, and that brings up the monthly ticket I would have to get to 60 euros. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a pretty hefty increase. If I buy single tickets, it's even more expensive. So yeah. If I don't go to the office every day, it's a loss, because then the monthly ticket is actually too expensive to get, and single tickets is even more expensive to get. So yeah, it's not a good situation. And I also can't use a bicycle. Say they are suggesting, well, do the healthy thing, use a bicycle. But that's every morning a 12-kilometer ride, which might not sound much to a lot of people, but I always hated getting into the office and being sweaty. And then they tell you, yes, there's a shower down there. You can shower. I don't want to get in there and then shower and have to dry my hair at work. And no. Which brought up this week the issue of where are we going to put our sweaty bike clothes and the wet towels and stuff, because while the building has showers down in the parking garage where you can leave your bicycles as well, we don't have lockers anymore. Our current office has lockers. So same discussion. Same answer. How you decide to go to work is not the company's problem, and they are not responsible to make sure you can shower and actually put your wet stuff away where people are not disturbed by it. So you can see that this is creating a lot of tension, and I think it's also again a difference in philosophies, because I think a lot of these American companies, they actually provide accommodations like that and don't think too much about it, and that's why we got used to it so easily. I mean, it's nice to go into work and to know you will not have any issues to put your car somewhere. We'll admit that. It will probably just lead to even more people doing home office. I'm already doing it most of the time because there's actually no reason for me to get into the office. I don't work with anyone who is in that office directly, so going to the office pretty much doesn't do anything for me, but making me chat with people about anything and everything not work related, which is not very productive, let me tell you. Yeah. Fun stuff we do at work. So how is it in your countries? Do companies provide stuff like that? Parking, showers, lockers, anything like that? And it's not that this company I'm talking about is not actually also American, but they are not as centralized. You know, for my previous employers, it was usually all the power was in the US, all the decisions were in the US. Your local executives didn't have a whole lot to say. And for that company, they pretty much let Europe run like Europe wants to run, as long as the bottom line is fine in the end, and our CEO is also European. So even though he's in the US, he is actually European. That makes for a very different philosophy as well, I believe. So yeah. And this is actually always the first questions in all the projects I've had so far. Are there any news about the topic of parking? And no matter how often I tell people, I can't help you with this, and I didn't make this decision, and please take your questions and complaints and your arguments to person XYZ, they always come to me. Sometimes it's hard to stay patient. I've been in customer service for 14 years. I'm pretty much the embodiment of patience when it comes to people at work. Yeah. So this is a few of the reasons why I decided to initiate some changes, and I have done that. I have now spoken to all the managers I can think of who might be able to help me out to get me out of this contract. Well, getting out of the contract is not the issue, but I need to find something else, or I will be very unproductive, and that's never a good thing. In that case, even the argument I have been working my butt off for the last 10 years, I think 6 months on the bench is something I well deserved. Won't fly. Yeah, I don't really want that either. A bit of a break would be nice, but I know myself. After a few weeks, I would be so bored, I'd probably scale the walls. And you don't want to see a fat girl do that. That's not pretty. So what else is new? Last night was interesting. While I was desperately trying to sleep, everyone in this household was actually hating on me. The boyfriend was snoring like crazy. He was also very, very agitated in his sleep. So he wasn't just turning around, he was actually flipping around and making the whole bed shake. It was really crazy. Every time I thought I was finally falling asleep, he went all super snory, super bouncing around, which annoyed the cat, and then the cat complained. And this early morning, my neighbor actually just asked me if my cat was in the garden this morning, meowing like the world was going down. And yes, indeed, Miss Nelly was doing that, I think around 7 in the morning. It might have been earlier, I don't know, I didn't check. She tends to do that sometimes. It's actually a surprise that none of the neighbors has asked that before, because if one of them is out there in the early morning when it's still very quiet and goes all rah, 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 that's very loud. And yes, that's exactly how they sound. I think they are channeling Lion King when they do that, and it's going horribly wrong. So yeah, it was either the man or one of the cats, and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. It's it's not super hot, but it's very humid, and I kept telling people, please don't talk too fast today, and don't do any jumping around on topics. I have a carousel in my head today. You know, if you have this, I think it's called vertigo in English. If you feel like everything is moving. Yeah, I had that today, which is usually something that happens in these weather conditions. So not a whole lot of fun. It might also be because I'm super tired now, which to warn you, after 35 minutes might mean I take longer breaks to think about what I'm going to say next. But I have to admit, I'm surprised how little I stumble over my words today. On the other hand, I've always known that my English gets a lot smoother when I'm tired or drunk. Don't ask me why. It happens all the damn time. Well, not all the damn time, because that would mean I'm drunk or tired all the damn time. But every time it happens. So there are a lot of J's here, but are there any more L's? If I'm very unlucky, I'll have to travel next week to Munich. I hope I can avoid that, because we are going to shrink down one of the offices we have in Munich, and that's actually done by the company we rent from. So there's pretty much no reason for me to be there, but the people there, I don't know why they think I absolutely have to be there. I'm still contemplating if I should even suggest that to my current boss, because she might be all for it. Talking about different philosophies. So the companies I have worked for since I started working in 2001 were pretty much working on a international level, and that meant that you usually had teams all over the world. So for me, for example, when I left my last job, my manager I was reporting to sat in Israel, in Ranana. The manager above that one was in the UK, in Bracknell. And the manager on the level above that was in, I believe, at that point, India, but before that, usually the US. Yeah. So my teammates were in France, in Italy, in the UK, and I think that's about it. Yeah. I had no one working with me directly here in Germany. And to save costs, usually everything was done virtually. So you pretty much did everything via conference call and using Skype for Business to share stuff if you had to work on something together. And I have to say, it might sound horrible and counterproductive to keep everything on a virtual level, but it always worked. We never had an issue smoothly working with each other and getting things done, sometimes in insane time frames. And it was cost effective. In all those years, I have traveled maybe a handful of times, and I have to say I was very happy with that. Switch over to current company. They go everywhere. It doesn't make any sense at all. For example, real estate. In the previous company, there was a real estate department. They were located in different locations. That was fine. And for all the different sites, they had a subcontractor. And these subcontractors actually had people on site to do janitor stuff mostly. So we always had someone there who knew the site, who could do small repairs, who could answer simple questions, who could take pictures for you if there was a specific thing you needed to know. And this company doesn't have it. When I started in January, they had 2 people that covered all of Germany. They were constantly traveling around, wasting so much time and resources to go from A to B. I mean, you have to imagine, even if you go by train, you can theoretically work while you are sitting on a train for hours and hours and hours. But in reality, you are annoying the people around you. There are now dedicated quiet compartments and dedicated mobile phone compartments, they call it. So if you book yourself into one of these, people usually don't say anything if you are constantly on the phone. But it is annoying. I mean, imagine everyone keeps complaining about open space offices, but now imagine the cramped reality of a train compartment of I don't know how many people, because these are usually the big ones, where you have 2 rows of seats on each side and they are so packed you can't pretty much stretch your legs out. And everyone is on the phone all the time. That's just the wireless on the train as well is very wonky. So even if you are not on your phone but trying to work on your PC and you need a connection to the internet for it, let's say to connect to your company network, yeah, it's not the best. Let's say I wasted a lot of time on trains in the last few months reading fan fiction. Yeah. And they think it's actually pretty normal and reasonable to do that. They also think it's super reasonable not to use flights to go somewhere because it's so expensive. But if you take the example of my Hamburg travel in May, the train ticket was nearly as expensive as the plane ticket would have been. But I would have saved so much time going by plane. They don't see it. You have to get an exception approval if you want to book a plane, and you're pretty much not going to get it in the current situation because our financial situation is not the most stellar at the moment. And still they travel and travel and travel and travel. There's so much money to be saved there. We could rent so many parking spaces for that money, I tell you. Yeah. And this is now at the point where they are pointlessly wasting my time as well. Another reason why I can't stand the job. I've talked about that before. I know I have. I'm not just imagining that. But if you interview for a job and you're being told you have to go to headquarters once a week, and for each project you take, you have to plan one travel, and you accept that, it's really annoying if it turns into we will send you nilly-willy all over the place how we see fit. Even if it means we are wasting days of your time sometimes with stuff you could do over the phone as well. And they are completely convinced that it can't be done over the phone. But quite honestly, I worked on these office projects before I switched jobs, and usually our project manager was somewhere in a part of the world that has not even connecting borders with Germany. And stuff went well. There was very little that went wrong, and these project managers usually didn't travel to the offices they were moving or closing or opening. Not even once. I think it's just about how well you can do it. I'm pretty sure I saw an L. But I've lost it again now. Ah, this is fun. Yeah, I can't even remember where I was going with that. So anyway, quintessence, I hope that by the end of the year I will either be reassigned or I'll be on the bench beginning January. But I won't be doing this any longer. I think I'm sorry that it's always so boring with the live updates, but there's really not much going on here. I'll have to admit that. So yeah, that's it. Let's move over to our fun little tag we did, shall we? So this is going to be interesting because now I have to switch between my key, which I have on my PC. I have to switch between the questionnaire and still have to try to see what I'm doing on the screen. Okay, I can see it from this perspective. Perfect. So we stopped at question 60 last time. Question 61. If you could make one mythical being real, who, what would you make? Mythical being. Oops, there are still drills in my tray. Come out there, you bad boys. Mythical being real. That is a good question. Which one of those suckers is actually interesting enough to make it real without it in being able to kill you? Because that would be a downside. How about... Yeah, let's do the boring thing. Unicorns. I've always loved them. You know, the day I learned that Santa wasn't real was not such a bad day compared to the day I learned there's no such thing as a unicorn. I always wanted one. So let's make that one real. But let's leave out the drinking a unicorn's blood will make you... I've forgotten the word. I'm drawing a completely blank. Unkillable, mostly. Immortal. Jeez. Super brain fart. Let's take a unicorn because they are cute. Question 62. Do you get 10 or do you burn? Oh, I think you can already tell from what you're seeing on the screen. This skin, it burns. It never tans. And it goes straight back to pale after it's done being burned. So there's no freaking way I'm ever getting a 10. Which is strange because as a kid, I actually got tanned as easily as my dad does. And I guess during puberty my skin decided, and now we are going to follow the path of your mother and you will never have fun in the sun again. But it's alright, I'm not a huge fan of lying around in the sun anyway, so yeah, it's not the biggest sacrifice to stay out of it. Question 63, describe your shower routine. Well, you know, kids, you get up in the morning, you probably have a trip to the loo first. And yes, that was very British of me. You shed your clothes, you turn on the water and you step into the shower. You get yourself all wet and then you start, in my case, with shampoo. If you're feeling fancy, you are going to shampoo twice. If you're feeling super fancy, you're going to use a conditioner afterwards. Depending on if it's once, twice, or even conditioner day, you will use some nice smelling shower gel and a poof, while either the shampoo is doing its job or the conditioner. Afterwards, you rinse everything off, you turn the water off, get out of the shower, and dry yourself. I don't have a fancy shower routine. I'm usually in and out of the shower in under 5 minutes too. I've never spent a whole lot of time in the shower. Maybe it's because when I grew up we didn't have a shower, we had a bathtub. And we're never even allowed to have a shower head on the wall. The company renting the apartments out didn't allow for that, which was very strange, but yeah, why not? Let's be very random with what we allow and what we not allow. So yeah, first shower was my first own apartment. And by then I guess I was perfectly trained not to spend too much time in the shower. There's also not really a reason to waste all the water. Fun fact, my boyfriend spends longer in the shower than I do. Also depending on the season, it's body lotion after I've dried myself off or not. Right now it's not, because in the summer my skin just doesn't need it. Hates it actually. So, 64, do you enjoy school? Why or why not? Well, now I've been out of school for freaking 18 years now. Oh god. But I enjoyed it very much. So I still remember these last few months and weeks of school where everyone was giddy to get out of there. And I was the one, I didn't actually say it because I was always the oddball anyway, and I didn't need to bring that kind of attention to myself. In the last few weeks I had to deal with these people. But I was always sitting there and thinking, and yeah, what are you expecting from life after school? Do you actually think it's going to get any better? This is the easiest job you'll ever have in your whole life, unless you marry a billionaire or millionaire would be enough, I guess, and just plant your perfect little ass on your couch and become a society lady. Because as soon as you get a job, things get real, people. So yeah, I was actually in constant mourning in these last weeks because I kept thinking, this is the last time you have a Monday like this, and this is the last time this is going to happen, and I don't want it to end. That being said, I enjoyed school. I didn't always enjoy the people I had to go to school with because I never fully clicked with most of them. I was always strange because I liked school. I was not a teacher's pet, nor was I someone who always had the best grades. I was actually pretty lazy. So I tried to go through it all without putting as much effort into it. So basically on the least effort possible. And I think I did a good job. I was not one of the people who had to study and cram for weeks before our final exams. I did it for exactly one of the exams. So I had 4, 3 of them written and 1 oral. And the oral one was the one I actually had to put time in to study. The other 3, yeah, no. That went just like that. But to be fair, it was German, English, and what basically comes down to political and socio-economical studies. The last one, I guess, is a subject where you can actually study for, but for German and English at this point, it was writing interpretations of literature. And either you could do it or you couldn't do it. And I was very good at it. I've always had a knack for that. Maybe because I started writing at 14, seriously writing at 14 myself. I started actually as soon as I could write, but those were cute little one-pagers and nothing serious. But at 14 I started to get into it for real, and I wrote really whole books. If you just count the words, I probably wrote stuff as big as Lord of the Rings. Just by page and word count, easily in my spare time. I'm not saying it was good, especially the beginnings were horrible. It's just something you need practice as well. So, but I think that's why I had a very easy time to read between the lines and discover imagery in words and stuff like that, and being able to tell what the author was trying to say without putting it literally on the page. And I had a lot of people asking me, can you teach me? And I always told them I'm afraid no, because I can't actually tell you why I know what I know when I read a text. It's just instinct. So English and German was pretty much just rolling on instinct for me. Sorry, I had to take a drink real quick. And I think we'll have to stop in a few minutes. So we're only going to do 10 questions today. In your opinion, what's the worst way to die? I've heard one of the worst ways to die, if we are not talking being tortured for days and weeks by some crazy madman, is actually suffocating. For one thing, because it takes so long and you are aware of it for quite some time. So it's not actually like freezing to death, where you just fall asleep at some point and just never wake up again. You actually feel the first, I don't know, they say it takes about 3 to 4 minutes to fully strangle or suffocate someone. So I guess you are conscious for at least the first minute, and a minute can be damn long, let me tell you. And it's a very, if you ever try to hold your breath until your body just won't let you any longer, that's just the beginning of the panic you feel if you can't breathe. So I've heard that's one of the worst ways to go. But of course, anything that is excruciatingly painful and takes a long time is a bad way to go. And I watch way too much real crime for that question, because I probably could go on a 3-hour discourse discussing the various ways to die and what is the worst to go, because pretty much anything that's poison and not killing you instantly is a horrible way to go. That being said, if I can choose, I just want to drop dead like my grandpa did. I think that's the best way to go. 66. Do you get car sick, seasick, or airplane sickness? I do get car sick. I can't do anything in the car, especially if I'm on the back seat. I literally can't do anything but sit and listen to stuff. So that's, as a kid, I pretty much puked every single time we went somewhere. And at some point, I thankfully discovered if I was, and that's showing how old I am, when I was listening to my Walkman, I didn't get sick in the car. So that's what I still do to this day if I have to sit on the back seat. And I have my, well, now it's my phone. It used to be my iPod, always with me if we go somewhere, because on a bad day it actually also happens when I'm in the passenger seat. I can't read, I can't play games, I can't do anything in the car. If I'm on the passenger seat, I can talk to the man and I can look out of the window. Front window is better than side window because this front window is going to a certain point. That's also why I can drive. But looking out of the side window when the landscape is just passing you by real quick can throw your balance off as well. And that is also not a good thing. But yeah, it doesn't happen on trains or buses. I think it happened on a bus once for me. So it's just cars, but it makes sense because a car has a lot more movement than a train or a bus does. These little movements that throw your ear off and screw up your balance. I have never been seasick, but I've always been on very, very, very big ships. So I've only ever been on a ship if I had to go from the mainland to one of the German islands. Or the one time I went from Calais to Dover, and those are very big ships. I mean, they transport trucks and cars and sometimes whole trains from one point to the other. And those big ships don't have a lot of movement either. I don't know what would happen if I were on a small boat. I probably would get seasick because I get car sick. I don't know. I never had airplane sickness. I have only flown a handful of times though, so I don't know if that was just me being lucky. So let's try. That actually moved a bit. Yay. Let's see if we can try that again. Yes. So I don't know, maybe, but so far I haven't had airplane sickness. What's one memory that you wish you could live again and again? One single memory. Back in the day when I was a little more social, I think I had a lot of great meetups with my online friends. I was happier to actually meet in real life with people I met online, and I pretty much, except for a few, have met all my friends online since school. I've noticed in recent years I've been much more reluctant to actually meet up with someone. I don't know why, but I think it's these hermit tendencies I have, and I've let this go too far, really. I don't force myself to go out as much as I used to. I've always been one of these people. I make dates with friends, and when the day comes, I actually don't want to go. And I have to really force myself, and afterwards I'm glad I did because I enjoyed the evening so much. Do you know that? I wish I could get rid of that, but it's like that every single time, and I know it. That's pretty much how I get myself to go, by telling myself, you know you're going to enjoy it, so go. But it's the same every single time. And if I could, I would like to bring back 2004, basically. That's when I met my friends from Nuremberg, also online, and we met and we all just hit it off, and we had the best weekends. We met a lot of times in 2004, 5, and I believe 6 as well. And the circle was ever expanding to different people as well. Strangely enough, mostly people I met and then included into the circle. I don't know what changed in recent years, but something did. And I would like to bring back these early times because we were just having so much fun every time we met. Still remember my 23rd birthday was the first one I celebrated away from home, and I invited them and we went to the zoo. Like the grown-ups we were. Most of them were down for it. Just one of them was really unhappy about it. Which was a bit surprising because she usually wasn't a Debbie Downer. And that was just so amazing. We had so much fun. I mean, a bunch of grown-ups I mean, we were all 23 or older. I think I was one of the youngest in this group. And we are going to the zoo for my birthday. Yeah, but that was really, really, really fun. 68. What were some of your stuffed animals' names from when you were a kid? I had a lot of stuffed animals, but I didn't name a lot of them. I know I had a big brown teddy bear, which my mom actually hated with a passion. She tried to sell it off multiple times, you know, when secondhand stores became big in Germany at the end of the 80s. She tried to pawn it off so many times. And I wanted to keep it. And I know that his name was Bruno. And I don't know why I wanted to keep him in the bed, because I was never able to actually sleep with a stuffed animal. They always annoyed me in bed and I threw them out. That is until I asked for a cat for the first time, and my parents were dead set against any pets, period, at that point. That was, I think, the year I turned 10. So after realizing I was not going to get what I was asking for, I actually asked for a stuffed cat. One that looked as lifelike as possible. And they got me one from the company Steif. You probably know it. It's this German stuffed animal company, pricey, where all the animals have this little metal button and the yellow tag in one of their ears. It's actually their brand sign, the button in the ear. And they got me a black and white cat from that company, and they have official names. It was, I think, Minou was the official name of the cat. I didn't like it. I called the cat Mickey. And that was the first and only stuffed animal I can remember I actually took to bed and slept with. That's what it looked like after a year as well. Because they start out very fluffy, very, very soft, and if you actually use them, they are going to get very tangled. And yeah, it's a well-loved one. I think it still exists as well. It's probably with my parents. A lot of my toys are. I actually gave my mother permission to get rid of some of the stuff. I know she's kept all of it in hopes for grandkids, and I believe they think we are not planning for any kids. So we haven't told them that we actually are trying. Because we are not entirely sure we can at this point. With me turning 38 this year, it might be too late. So we don't want to get anyone's hopes up. It's pretty much, if it happens, we will give them the good news someday. If it doesn't happen, we never wanted kids. So they have started now to clean out the attic, because they have spent quite a bit of time in the recent month to clean out my grandmother's house, and realized that their house is going to turn into my worst nightmare if they don't start getting rid of stuff they don't need any longer before things get serious. So we talked, and I told her, you can get rid of all these Barbie dolls you've kept all the years, because they have spent so much time on the attic now, and a lot of it on a non-isolated attic, so going from super hot to extremely cold throughout the seasons, that the plastic is probably very brittle anyway, and the dolls won't survive being played with. So she is probably going to check on that and get rid of some stuff. Yeah. If we need any toys, we can buy new ones. I mean, it's of course very sad, because you can imagine how old these things are, and some of them, compared to the ones they have today, are so much prettier. I mean, if you just look at how much they have changed from the early 80s when I got my first dolls to when I stopped playing with them about 10 years later, they changed so much. The early 80 ones were much more elegant. You know, their makeup was not as on your nose. They had much. Their faces were different, so it was very. It's very sad to see them go, but I think they don't. You can't play with them any longer, and what are you supposed to do with them? They are not collector's pieces, so they have been played with very obviously, and yeah. At some point you have to get rid of stuff, right? And that from the hoarder. So yeah, they have started that, and I've told them, please, you don't have to keep everything. Maybe keep the books, because I had a lot of books as a kid, and I think that's something you can give to someone else if you absolutely have to get rid of them, but don't throw them out. Yeah. 69. Do you have any pets? Well, you know that. She is not with us right now. I actually have no idea where she is. She's not even in the room. But I, of course, have Miss Lola, my now nearly 11-year-old ragdoll cat, and her sister Nellie. And yeah, it's our birthday very soon. I think I mentioned that I share a birthday with my cats, right? So it is our birthday soon. I'm turning 38, they are turning 11. And final question for today. Describe your daily what your daily wardrobe would be if you were rich. I don't think it would be very different from what it is now. Clothes, shoes, handbags, that's actually not something I spend a lot of time on. I want it to be comfortable, and I try to go as casual as I can when I have to go into the office. I'm not a clothes person. So my wardrobe would probably be what it is now. Jeans, shirts, some more fabricy pants that are better for the office, blouses, stuff like that. So let's take another drink because my throat is actually getting very scratchy. But this is it for today. I have to stop recording now. It's a bit earlier than it usually is, but I also started a bit later than I usually do, and the boyfriend will be home very soon and will be demanding dinner. So at this point, yeah, you can see I didn't pay as much attention as I usually do, so I have placed a few of those a bit wonky, and the circles are showing through. But I think so far it is actually turning out pretty good. So let me move the camera a bit so you can see what else I have done on this painting. This is the bottom part of the panther. It looks all very, what the heck is this? But this is a mixed media painting with acrylic paint, so it doesn't have any clear lines anyway. And the panther part is actually also a galaxy. So in the black of the panther there are these blue and purple blotches that look like a galaxy background. So it's, I hope it's going to turn out as pretty as I imagined when I saw it. So far I'm happy with most of this kit. And the things I'm not happy about, I have talked to the company and they are so far they seem to be very happy to listen to constructive criticism and to look into possibilities, for example, changing the canvas. So yeah, as far as I am with this, I am actually still on the positive side. I will judge this, of course, when it's done completely and see how I like the final result. So this is by far not my final review of this. Anyway, guys, I'm stopping rambling now and letting you go. As always, if you like this video, leave me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to be notified. I'm talking about subscribing. People, you have gone crazy over the last few days. I have no idea if it was Rachel's unboxing of the Diamond Shop kit I got from her, but suddenly I got so many new subscribers. We were just over 600 a few days ago, and now we are very close to 700. Crazy! I have no idea what's going on. But if you by any chance are not subscribed yet and like what I do, consider subscribing. You can also leave a comment below. I always love those. And even though it takes me a few days, sometimes I am still answering to all of them. I can't promise you how long I will be able to, because I'm also getting more and more comments now. It's taking up a lot of time to answer them. But I'll try for as long as I can. There is my Instagram in the information below. There is an email address. So if you want to contact me through any of these channels, that's fine as well. And until then, I wish you a wonderful day, wonderful week, and I will catch you the next time. Bye, guys.